and welcome to episode 37 of my crafting podcast. This is my fortnightly vlog about knitting, crochet, spinning, dyeing, weaving, anything else that seems like a good idea at the time. I'm an autistic woman living in North Yorkshire, in the north of England, with my husband, our 3 daughters and 3 cats. That's a new intro. I hope I didn't mess it up. You can find me on social media. On Instagram, I am Mel Brown Crafting Podcast. Also, I am Creative Escape Retreats. And on Ravelry, I'm Funky40, and we have a group on Ravelry for the show. So any show notes and everything are all over there. I'll hopefully remember to talk a bit more about that later. So, hello. Today we have some unexpected giveaway news. We have lots of new projects and some long-term finished projects, which is quite exciting. So let's get going. Right, so first is where are they now? What's happened to the projects that you've already seen? Well, the memories blanket, do you know there's a lot of new subscribers at the moment. Some of you won't have seen the memories blanket, but I will show you that another day. It's a lovely sock yarn scrap project by Georgie Nicholson, and there was a time a year or so ago when everybody had one on the go. I still do, but I haven't done anything on it. It's way too hot at the moment to have a blanket on the go on your lap, so that's still ongoing, but it's a very happy ongoing project. So that's the first one. The second one, less is more. Now, this is an Amy King pattern. Now, I started making a note of whether the patterns are free or not so that I know whether I can talk to you about the pattern construction. This is a project I've been making for quite some time, and what's really exciting is I've also been recording a video diary, a project diary about it, and I'm going to, now it's finished, did I tell you that? I'm going to edit all that and put that on as a separate video. So the video is about the sleeves, about how I came to all the sort of mixed stuff for the sleeves. But it's a really lovely free pattern on Ravelry, and it's designed for hand spun. So a lot of people start spinning and then don't really know what to do with the yarn because it's not uniform, it's not a specific weight, you know, oh I know this is different Aran weight or whatever. It's much more random than that, and some parts of it can be much thicker than others, and it's difficult really to know what to do with hand spun yarn. So it's absolutely lovely to have a pattern that's designed specifically for it, and that's what this is. It's called Less is More, and it's a cardigan sweater, and not only did I use hand spun, but I also used a lot of hand dyed as well. Now I'll work my way down and show you what they all are. This is a beautiful silk and merino fibre from the threshing barn out here in North Yorkshire. And then we come down to some fibre that I dyed myself, one of my early dyeing attempts. And then we're on the body, aren't we? On the body here, we're coming down. Now we get into some that my friend Sarah, we did a swap. She bought this and spun it. This blues, it's difficult to say, this blues here, about there it starts, and also this blues to green here, she bought and spun those. Now I dyed and spun this, so the daffodil colourway, quite a lot of that, wasn't there? And then there was the fire colourway at the bottom that I, look at this, I haven't done my ends. I'm taking it to the blocking queen Andrea tomorrow. So I'd better get the ends running, otherwise her husband Steve will be having a comment about it. Should run my ends in. And then on the sleeves, so we've got the start of them with this yarn from Sarah again, and then here's some more that I dyed, and I was experimenting with trying to get kind of stripes, and it worked differently on the other one. You'll see more of that in the video diary. The sleeves are quite different. And then there's something that I dyed a long time, I spun a long time ago, so it's really lumpy, so it gives the sleeves quite an interesting texture there. and then onto more stuff that I dyed myself, and down to the final thing, which is what I've done this week. I'll show you the yarn a bit later, but this is the Tequila Sunrise colourway, and it's done. I'm going to put it on. I don't know how best to show you. I'm all in pink today, look. Okay, here we go. So it's not, I don't think it's ever going to do up around there, but the plan is I bought a clasp that I'm going to see if Andrea thinks we can attach up here, and just kind of hold it together there, and then have that blocked so that it kind of, I don't know how it's going to look, but there it is. Ta-da! It would probably look better on a plain, with a sort of plain coloured top, but anyway, there it is. Less is more. All finished, and look out for the video diary on that. Going away shortly, so it'll probably be later in August. So I'm really excited about it. It's really one of the most unique things I've ever done. Can you qualify the absolute of unique? Most unique, most unusual? I don't know. It makes me feel wonderful to have it, because it represents so much work and skill that I've learned in the last couple of years, really. So I'm really excited about it. It's a great pattern, very adaptable. I certainly didn't follow the pattern in the sense that my yarn was way too thick for it. So I went up several sizes of needle, and all the needles and all the decisions and stuff are on the project page in Ravelry. So that is a finished object. Looking at my notes to see what I wanted to say about it. So that's all done. Really, really excited. Okay, next, Liula. So this is a crochet project. This, I bought the yarn for it at Yarndale, and from these guys, and it's kind of 200-gram skeins run together, and it's not really in the kind of colours that I would normally choose, because as you've spotted, even those of you that are new, I'm not a subtle lady, but it's a kind of subtle gradient, and it's really, really soft. I don't know if you got a chance to see on there, but it was 80% superwash merino and 20% silk. It is soft, it's gorgeous. And I'd started it, and I wanted to give it to Mum-in-law for Christmas, but wasn't sure if she would like it. But I saw her just a couple of days, well, left her yesterday, and she does like it, kind of ish. She's not, wow, that's amazing. She's the kind of, yes, that would go with something or other. So anyway, it's getting bigger. You can, on camera, you can't see the colour shift terribly well, but actually, I remember rightly when I was editing it last time, it looked better in the edit than it did when I was actually recording it. But there it is. It's a 6-row pattern repeat. I can't say much more because it's a paid-for pattern, but it's really fun. Easy to take out, know where you are. And I've distilled the pattern into just notes on a card. Now, they wouldn't mean anything to anybody else, really. But you can see that the row number is up here, and then when I finish that row, I turn it over, and the next one is there. So I know what row I'm on, I know what to do, and this is really, really useful. So a great technique. So I can take that out and about with me, and because it's quite slippery and fine, I tend to put a stitch marker in the active stitch. Quite often I'll just pull the stitch along and put it in my bag with a kind of woolly a yarn with quite a bit of friction on it, but this is very silky and slippery, and it's been really easy to just pull it out, pull this, and then before I've realised that I pulled out half a row or a whole row of crochet. So I just put a little stitch marker in there to keep it safe, and yeah, it's lovely. So that's going to be a Christmas present. Now I know it's only July, but to be honest, this is not my first Christmas present of the year. So you will come to see, if you're a new viewer, and do by all means go back and have a look at last year's videos, because Christmas is just magic for me. I'm not Christian, I don't celebrate it in that way. I'm very much a family oriented person, and mostly yeah. So I absolutely love Christmas. I start early, I make something, I try to make something for everybody. Sometimes I make several things, particularly for my own children. And I just get so excited about it, and oh, I love it. So usually around about our summer holiday, I start making things for people, and I never have trouble getting finished in time, because I do tend to spend a lot of time crafting, as you might well notice. So yeah, so that one is now, it was just something I wanted to make, and now it's something that's going to be a gift, and that's always the best way for me, if it's something that I already wanted to make anyway. So that is, I didn't show you the bag. Look at this bag. It's autumn in Nidderdale, which is the Yorkshire Dale that I live in. All the lovely trees, and as you come along the road out to the dale, you occasionally have a deer run across in front of the road. I love it. So this is my autumn in Nidderdale bag from Gemma B Makes. She's another podcaster. She lives fairly near to me, and she's lovely. Anyway, lovely sturdy bag there. Right. So that's work in progress number 2. The next thing you've seen before is the stash of shells. Last time I kept getting this wrong. The Stash of Shells Mystery Crochet Along from the Crochet Project, which is Kat Golding and Joanne's Grace. So if you haven't come across this idea before, the Mystery Crochet Along, what happens is you don't know what the project's going to look like. You just know what yarn you need, roughly. You get a clue a week, in this case, for 5 weeks. And that builds into the whole pattern. So if you're taking part and you haven't seen the finished object yet, then do look away. But I'm guessing that most people will have finished it who are doing it now. So this, unlike the other mystery crochet alongs that they've done, was uniquely useful to me because it started during the period of the year when I decided I wasn't going to buy yarn. So from 1st of January through to the end of June, I didn't want to buy yarn. Not because I feel it's a bad thing to buy yarn or anything like that. And again, those of you who know me will know I am a firm believer that you do what works for you. And if you really enjoy buying yarn, then you buy yarn, because you're not doing anybody any harm. But for me, I wasn't enjoying buying new yarn. And what I have been enjoying doing is using up yarn that I've already got, and that's given me a lot of pleasure. So it was during the period when I wasn't buying new yarn, so I wanted to take part. I saw it on Gemma's podcast. I wanted to take part, but I didn't want to buy any new yarn. Well, it's a scrap project, which is just so perfect. So I make a lot of socks. If you find me on Ravelry's Funky 40 and have a look at my projects, you'll see I make a lot of socks. So sock yarn is about 100 grams. Usually use 60 to 70 grams of sock yarn to make a pair. So the rest of it gets put into the basket for the memories blanket, which I told you about. But sometimes there's too much and it's just too lovely a yarn to want to split it up into lots of little squares. So this pattern was perfect for me. So it's all based on shells. Here we go. There's clue 1. Now I already messed it up because those of you who crochet will know that the US and the UK have not different terms as such, but different meanings for the same terms. And I actually learned from an American book, Happy Hooker, Stitch and Bitch lady. What's her name? And so my first language of crochet is US, and these guys are UK. So I have to translate, which is fine. But unfortunately, there's one particular part I didn't translate. So with a shell, you've got, well, I won't again go into too much detail, but at one point you've got what is a UK double crochet, and I did that as a US double crochet. I didn't translate that bit, so it wasn't right, but it didn't matter because nobody's going to say, goodness me, look at that stitch is wrong. And then what I did was, when we came to, because it's symmetrical, when we came to clue 5, I made the same mistake again, put the same feature in again. So that was clue 1, clue 2, and then you can see I've started to stray a little bit from the blues, just for a bit of interest. And then, oh, there's some beautiful yarns in here. And there's the middle section, and then it's basically going back the other way. So there's lots of Zauber ball in there, which is one of my favourites, and lots of easy knits, which is definitely one of my favourites, yarn dyes. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm thinking it has to be blocked yet. I have run the ends in Andrea, Steve, but I haven't got it to Andrea. It's going tomorrow. So I'm thinking you kind of wear it like that, which isn't really something I would typically do. So I'm not sure what the future is for this beastie. I'll get it blocked, and then I'll think about it and decide what I'm going to do with it. It might become a Christmas present. It might be something else. So yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. It was fun to knit, and I crocheted it. It was fun to make, and I'm already thinking about my next one because it's so fun to make. This is definitely me crossing over from being a product maker into a process maker. So the concept there is that instead of thinking, oh, I want to make this because I really want this pair of socks, I want this pair of socks, therefore I'm going to make it. I want to make this pair of socks. I want to use this pattern. I want to try out the stitch, whatever. And it's a completely different approach to things, and it results from the fact that I have got lots and lots of pairs of socks. I've got lots and lots of shawls and scarves and cowls and all those things. So I'm not in need of, oh, I could really do with something that goes around my neck that's kind of bluish. I mean, again, as you'll notice, I'm not particularly worried about colours matching. More likely to have them clashing or whatever. Occasionally I'll find, because I do like blues, that everything I'm wearing is blue, and it's like, oh wow. But yeah, it's not a big issue of mine. But I've got so many now. I've been knitting and crocheting for about 10 years after a 20-year break of having knitted and crocheted as a teenager. And I've got so much stuff now that it's not about, oh, I really want that thing. It's, I really want to make that thing. So this, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this one, let alone another one, but I still want to make another one. So I guess my present drawer is going to get pretty packed, and I'm going to be giving a lot of stuff away, but that's actually wonderful because that makes me very happy too. So it is done. It's rather beautiful, isn't it? Anyway, okay, so that is more or less all of the projects that you have already seen. Let's look at new whips on the block. Last time I spoke to you, I didn't have any new whips, and I was a bit down. Now, I don't think those two are necessarily connected, as I probably witted on about last time. Mental health is not about personal circumstance in most cases, is it? When things aren't good, you can be sad, you can be unhappy, but depression is really is about something quite different. But I am very aware that my mental state is very tightly tied to my crafting. And if I've only got, say, 3 projects on, and one of them I've made a mistake on and I can't do anything more, and the other one I need some more yarn and whatever, I can be quite frustrated, and it can affect my mood quite massively. If I mess up something and I don't know how to fix it, that can make me very unhappy. So it is possible that that's where it came from, that I hadn't started anything new and the things I was doing were kind of slow, and I don't know. But I have definitely rectified that. So let's start with the shift. What bag is that in? I think it might be in this one. It is. So my friend who lives in Lee, no, she doesn't live in Lee, she lives the other side of the Pennines, Sarah, she made me this. Isn't it lovely? Little foxy thing. And it goes quite well with this. They look like they might be friends. I don't know if foxes are going to chase the deer, do you think? Do foxes chase deer? Don't know. Anyway, so little drawstring bag. It's a really nice size. So I have been doing mosaic crochet. Did you see the Havana shawl? And I'm teaching that again next month, September. But I wanted to try mosaic knitting because it is very much like mosaic crochet, and it's very visually appealing. It looks amazing, but it's actually a very simple trick. So you just need the confidence to try it. So I'm going to be teaching this as well. So I had some Shapius stone washed. Now I made my first Hotel of Bees with that. You can see that on Ravelry projects. And then I did a swap with our knit group in the end of last year for Christmas, and I got some more of that yarn. Similar colours actually, which was strange. So I decided to make another one. And that was pretty good actually. I gave that away to Dave's auntie over the weekend. She likes that. But I still had yarn left over, and I thought, oh, I can use it in this project. It's called The Shift. It's by Andrea Mowry. It's a paid for pattern, so I won't be talking too much about the way it's done. But it's bloody typical that I thought, oh, I'll just use up scraps, and I'm thinking, oh, but it's not quite right, I'll just go buy a so I ended up buying a ball. And also a lovely lady from the yarn shop, when I was in there, said, oh, I've got some of that I don't think I'm going to use, so she dropped it in for me. So I've got lots and lots of choices now. So here, the yarn's in a mess. Here's the yarn. It's a sport weight, which isn't really something we have a lot of in the UK, is it? Kind of a 5-ply. No, yeah, kind of a 5-ply, so a bit bigger than sock weight. Do we have a weight for that? So we would have sock weight, 4-ply we would call it, and then we'd have double knit, which is 8-ply, effectively. We don't really have anything in between. So yeah, it's not a British thing, but obviously it's not a British yarn either. And here it is. Oh my giddy aunt. I ran all the ends in yesterday, apart from the, you know, the really only just done ones. So there it is. This is when I was I got lots of cream. I thought I'll just keep using up the cream. That's not really quite getting the right effect. So I've swapped. This is the green that I bought. Now this isn't actually stone washed. This is a slightly different yarn called river washed. So the stone washed has this kind of white thing underneath it, like the jeans, you know, stone washed jeans. This has got a kind of goldy yellow behind it, so of course these two go well. So it's the same weight, it's the same everything, content, fibre content, which happens to be 78% cotton and 22% acrylic. But it's got just a slightly different look to it. Do you think these look like cat faces? My girls think these look like cat faces, and I think these look like little bees. Anyway, so the idea is it's a cowl, but it looks like a shawl. You know those sort of triangular shawls where you style them with this kind of drapey thing down the front like this and like that? Well, it's meant to look like that, but actually it's a cowl. So it's much easier to style. So this is actually the top corner. It's a really interesting construction as well. This bit that I've already started on is actually the back corner there. So it's coming around like that. It's really interesting. I have to say, it's a great pattern, well worth a go. Zings. Oh, I need to tell you about them. When I looked at what needle size this needed, and I looked in my needle bag and I found that I'd got zings in this size, my heart sang. I was so excited. It made me realise how important zings are. Do you remember a couple episodes ago I bought some fixed circular zings? And the join here was pants. It was absolutely awful. I just couldn't work with them. So I was really disappointed with that. But when I realised how much I enjoy knitting with the, just, you know, this bit of it, I actually ordered from my local yarn shop, Yarn Etc., a set of interchangeables. So I'll have a few cables, although I have already got a few, but I'll have the whole set of needle ends to use. So I get the joy of the zings, but without the pain of the awful join. So anyway, there it is. I'm a little ways through it. It's fab. I would definitely recommend it. There's actually a bigger one, which is a shawl. This one, as I say, is going to be a cowl, and it's called Night Shift. And that's a much bigger thing. And of course, you could do it in, particularly the shawl, you could do it in any weight of yarn, couldn't you? You could do it in sock yarn and just make it more rows, or do it in double knits and less, whatever. I don't know. It's cool. I really like it. I'm hoping to take that on my holiday with me. Although I'll have to remember to take the extra yarn. Do you ever do this? I've got this bag, and I've got this big bag of extra balls of yarn of different bits and pieces that I could use, and I'm keeping them separate because it's just carrying all of that stuff around is a bit of a pain. But then I went away for the weekend to mum-in-law's and I didn't take the spare yarn bag, so all I've got is the little bits and pieces that I'm currently working from. That's really annoying. I did that when I went on holiday last year, and all of the spare yarn was in the hold, and I just had a little bit on the plane, and it was a 10-hour flight, and I ran out. Stupid. So I did that again, didn't even take it with me. So I need to be careful of that. Make a mental note. Don't do that, Mel. So that's hopefully going on holiday with me. I'll tell you about holidays in a minute. So that's another way to wear this. I think you could kind of wear it as a scarf, couldn't you? But it's just too posh to wear as a scarf, don't you think? There we go. Right, so the shift, new pattern. What's next? That's work in progress number 3. Right, pieces of 8. Now, do you remember a little while ago, one of my favourite yarn dyers is Claire Nettleship Yarns. She's local and she makes the most amazing self-striping yarns, and she's the only person that I broke my 6 months of not buying yarn for. And I had some yarn from her called High Hopes, and it was the first colourway she ever designed in her new business, and that was really important to me. I loved it. And I made a pair of slip stitch skews, so I kind of merged 2 patterns, and they were brilliant. But I had 38 grams left, and I said, I wonder what I can do with that. And a lovely lady called Sandra, thank you Sandra, suggested mitts. So, good plan. I went away and I found a pattern. I'm going to show you what the pattern looks like, because you're not going to see anything like it from my project so far. That's what the pattern looks like. And 38 grams of sock yarn was perfect for that. So I started them. I ordered carbons from the yarn shop, and they're quite long. I need them long, and I was, to be honest, when she was asking me what size I wanted, I was kind of chatting and I didn't really pay attention. My hands are massive, you can't really tell that, but they're huge, hugely long fingers. So little needles I can't hold because they're just in the wrong place in my hand. So I got the big ones, and to be honest, they're very unwieldy, but I don't know if I could have dealt with smaller ones because there are quite a lot of stitches on there. It's very fiddly, and I'm not someone who works with DPNs usually. I usually use circulars, so it's a bit annoying. I might try and do the second one with circulars, but I'll see how I feel. So you've got the thumb there, and then it's starting to come out round. It's a really interesting construction, as you would imagine from looking at it. And of course the colours, just the yarn looks beautiful. You know, it's a perfect choice for the yarn. But it's a matter of whether I can be bothered to carry on with it because it's so fiddly. But there is a crochet version as well, but that uses more yarn, and I haven't got enough yarn to make a pair of those. So what I'll probably do is persevere with this, and then I'll try a pair of the crocheted ones as well. I think they're beautiful, and again, it's a bit of a process thing. I don't know whether I'd wear them. I don't know. I've got fingerless mitts already, sort of big chunky ones. So maybe I would wear them in the spring. Don't know, or maybe I'll just give them away. But again, it's just a matter of having the fun of making them and having them sat on my project page and using up this gorgeous yarn, because otherwise, just putting it in the blanket wouldn't do it justice. So that is a free pattern, and it has loads and loads of pictures. You know, it's a wonderful, great big PDF. No, it's not a PDF. It's all on the website. You can see exactly what you're meant to be doing, and it's very clear. So, which is just as well because it's quite complicated. So that's my if I need to take my brain off of anything else, I can focus on this, but I can't just sit and be with other people and make that. So, pieces of 8. that's work in progress number 4. Now, holiday. I was away with mum-in-law she lives just north of London. So we went down last Thursday night and we stayed over for a few days. Friday we went to London. I met up with my husband's auntie. And then Saturday, auntie came over with a friend. And then Sunday we went to see Dave's brother and his wife. And then Monday we came home. And so I had a lot of time for knitting in the car. While we were there, there's no washing to do, obviously help a little bit with food and stuff, but no general house jobs to do. So I got a lot of knitting done. And then this Sunday, that's now Tuesday, this Sunday we go away for a week to Mallorca. We've not been before and we're really excited about it. And I am going to knit on the plane. Everybody says it's fine, you can knit on the plane, it's fine. But I'm still a little bit scared. I did knit on the way home from our holiday last year. My needles were in the hold on the way out, but I actually, and I crocheted on the way out, but I knitted on the way home. So I have done it and I am now confident I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to lose my needles. This is the issue, in case you're not aware, about losing needles on the plane, because the security won't let you have them. So I'm confident now that I'll be able to knit on the plane. So I'm going to take a whole range of projects, but we spend a lot of time on the beach and at the pool, but also, I get up at 6 and I'll sit and knit for 2 or 3 hours on a morning before everybody else is up. So I need lots of projects. So I thought I'll start some new projects for the holiday. The problem with that is I then went away for a few days and that's when I started them. And I'm rather worried that I'm now going to get them finished before we go on holiday. But let's see. Okay, so Flying North. This is a free pattern and it is in this bag here. This is one of my... Oh, I didn't show you that. The bag that that was in. That's another one that Sarah made me. So this one I made myself. My one and only attempt at patchwork quilty type thing. Didn't make it to a quilt, so it became a bag. So this is some yarn that my lovely friend from the US, Adriana, now we've never met, we just know each other through the podcast. She did a mystery sock yarn thingamy-bob. I don't even know what a thingamy-bob is, but it's a mystery sock yarn thing. And she had some yarn sent out. It was actually from the UK to both of us, and we didn't know what we were getting. Now I'm circling around in here trying to find oh, here we go. It's Dina's Home of Crafts, and the yarn is called Is It Flip Flop Weather? And it's absolutely lovely. It's not necessarily the kind of yarn I would normally pick out, but sometimes that's quite fun, isn't it? And I'm in a mess. I had a yarn prolapse in the pub and it was all a mess, and my daughter's tried to sort it out, but okay, I think we're straight. Now, as usual, I'm knitting it 2 at a time. The only socks I don't knit 2 at a time is skews. So here they are. So this is a free pattern, so it's very simple. I'm not actually using the sock pattern, I'm just using the, look, sock face. I'm just using the stitch pattern in my sock recipe. So you just basically purl one there, and the next row you purl the one before it and the one after it, and then the next row you purl before that, one before that, and the one after that, and you keep going until you get to about 2 stitches from the edge, and then you start again. Really, really simple. And it's here that you see how different they are. If you look at the back, you can see even more. So it's both ends of the skein. So what I've done, no, it's not both ends. I've wound the skein into one great big ball. Now this is really silky and slippery. I mean, it's only, as you saw, it's only just standard superwash woolen nylon, but it's really silky and slippery and gorgeous. So making a 100-gram ball was a right mess. It kept slipping off. But then I made 2 50-gram balls, and they're in these little bags, and they're centre pulling. And just occasionally you get a whole blip come out, and unfortunately that came out, and yeah, it's a mess. Now I'm using Symphony's So it's Knit Pro again, but it's the wooden ones because they're just a little bit more grippy. Again, this is quite a silky yarn and I don't want my stitches flying off my needle. So it works really well. The joins are not hugely great, but they're not a problem either. And there we go. So I need to get my little cardboard sock out actually, and cardboard foot, and put it in the bag. But I started them on Friday morning before we went to London, and it's now Tuesday morning, so I got quite a lot of knitting time in on them. So yeah, nice little pattern, really simple. I'll just put in a German short row heel, and then when I get to the top I'll do a little twisted rib cuff, and yeah, I won't need to do a different yarn for the heels because there's no pattern on the front to break up with the colours, it's just random. So yeah, really cute. I'll give you a close up of the speckles. Have you seen my nails? It's watermelon perhaps, or as my nail technician says, Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. So that is Flying North. It's been in my queue for a long time actually, so I'm glad to have done that. And the exciting thing is Adriana cast on with the same yarn, the same pattern on the same day. So I haven't seen hers yet, don't think. So send me a pic. There we go. So loving that. It's brilliant. Just a little bit worried that it may go before we're done on holiday. Right, next. My husband works for a company who are based in Netherlands. I don't think I can wear this like that. Who are based in the Netherlands, and they their colours are bright pink, kind of this kind of colour. That's the company colours, and he's very much a loyal company man. And I have made him quite a lot of socks in that colour. So when I see a sock yarn with that colour in it, I tend to buy it for him. And this one I bought months and months ago at Yarn Etc. in Harrogate. It's a Grundle Hot Socks colourway. How beautiful is that? I mean, just in the ball, it's a work of art. I love it. So I started Christmas knitting for him. Oh lordy, I'm not caught up. So this is my moustaches bag that I made. Now this, I wasn't sure what pattern to use. What I tend to do with socks normally is I tend to just find a stitch pattern or not, and just make my standard sock recipe for me or for hubby or whatever. For hubby, it's just, I always use 2.75mm needles, and for him it's like 76 stitches on a needle. And I was thinking I might do geek socks because they're stripy. But chatting to Sarah on Instagram, and she said, I said I might do Hermione's Everyday Socks. Have you seen them? Really, really nice. It's another free pattern. And she said, oh no, do that Hermione because you haven't done that for a while. And I'm really glad I did, because you'll see here the colour changes are really subtle. So there's actually a colour change about here, and then there's one there, but there's another one up there. There's one there and one there. There's really subtle. Now the thing with the geek socks or any slip stitch pattern like that is that you need to identify when the change occurs, and then you slip the first stitch. You slip stitches on the first round of that new colour. But it's really quite difficult to actually establish where the colour changes. It's more of a sort of fade, a gradient change than an actual sudden. You know, like on the Claire Nettleship yarns, there's about 2 or 3 stitches which are in both camps, and then it's the new colour, completely the new colour. Very different way of achieving stripes, but in its own way, this is absolutely gorgeous. And let's have a look at without the pattern. So I'm really, really pleased with these. Again, did a lot more. I only cast these on Sunday, or Saturday, so I've done an awful lot more than I expected to, really. But anyway, they're there. So that's the stitch pattern. Again, it's a really simple pearl. You pop in a pearl stitch, so every other round is just plain knit. And on the alternate rounds, you do either knit through pearl one, so the pearl stitch pops up there, or knit 1, purl 1, knit 3, purl 1. So the purl stitches are slightly offset, and that's the effect you get. Absolutely brilliant. And obviously the socks are not the same. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually working from the outside and the inside of the ball, so the colour sequence will be in reverse. So it's going greens through purples to pinks up here, and it's going purples, greens that way. So it's the reverse order. So even if I'd started in the same place, same colour with them, they wouldn't be the same. But that's not an issue for Dave or I. So there we go. Really happy with that. Actually, do you know what? I'm not so worried now. Now I've talked to you about it. Thanks for listening. I'm not so worried that I'm going to get these finished, because this week is going to be a little bit more mad. All the children are home from school, obviously. Home from school. They don't go away to school. All the children are not at school. And with the holiday coming up, I've got a lot to do. So I'm not so worried. I'm not going to worry about that now. It'll be fine. So I may yet start another project before I go away, but that's 6 works in progress, which is lovely. It's really nice. I had a bag with me when I was away. I can't remember which of those I didn't take with me. Did I have all 6 of them with me? Probably. Oh no, I didn't have the memories. Of course I didn't. So I've got this bag. Let's have a look at it. My mum bought it for me years ago. It's from the British Museum. It's Victorian Albert. What is it called? It's called William Morris. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, it's a print from somebody famous. And so I had all 5 projects in that, and my notions bag as well. And that just went everywhere with me, carried it from room to room, from house to house. Just, that's a good number for me. Excuse me. Right, okay, that's all the new whips on the block. Let's have dyeing and spinning. Now, I didn't do a huge amount, but what I did do was I dyed and spun the Tequila Sunrise yarn for the Less Is More. So let's find what's left of it. That. So I actually made quite a bit. I think there was a 330, 175 meters or something like that. Yeah, of yarn. There are little twisty bits on the end. That's what's left. Don't know what I'm going to do with that. I didn't expect to have any left. So that was dyed. You'll see on the project diary, actually, I messed about with that for ages. Didn't get it how I wanted it, kept messing about, and then I thought I'm definitely going to have felted this fire, but I've messed with it so much. But it was fine. And that is the only spinning I have done. I have been rubbish. It's been the Tour de Fleece for 2 weeks. Ooh, fire up my nose again. The Tour de Fleece for 3 weeks, and the first 10 days I went absolutely mad, and I did that rainbow of yarn, and I just seemed to burn myself out and hardly did anything else again. Sorry, Gemma, I was in Gemma's team. But I did manage 1,485 meters. But that doesn't include this, which I didn't show you last time. You know, I showed you all the skeins of coloured yarn that I'd made. What I didn't show you was the leftover singles. So again, for those of you who don't spin, you don't spin one single thread and then knit with that. You can knit with the singles in the same way as you can knit with the singles yarn. You can buy and knit with the singles yarn, but usually, particularly as a home spinner, you would usually ply it with another single. So that's this here. You can see the 2 singles plied together. So what I did was I split each colour into equal weights, and then spun each of those onto a bobbin, and then plied those 2 bobbins together. Now, if I was a consistent spinner, then there would be very little left over on the end of one bobbin when the other bobbin finished. But I'm not. So what did we start with? I think we might have started at the purple end. So there was this much left on one of the bobbins. So this is the unspun bit at the end, am I? So these are some singles, but there was more on one bobbin than the other. And it was the same with all of them. Blue. The green. The green was huge. Look at how much there is there. and then the yellow, the orange and the red. So that isn't counted in the meterage because I haven't measured it yet, because all I've done is taken it off the bobbin and wound it. But what I thought I would do is I spun that yarn to make a sweater, a jumper. It's called the Velvet Raglan, I think. I'll put the details up here. And that wants chunky yarn, which I think this equates to more or less, which is good. But rather than just a solid stripe between, say, the purple and the blue, what I thought I would do is apply these two together, or half of the blue with the purple, to make an interim yarn. So when I finish knitting the purple, I can knit my interim yarn, and then I can knit the blue. And the other half of the blue I can ply with some green, and then in between the green and the blue I'll have the applied green and blue. That is the plan. It's going to take a bit of math and a bit fiddling about, particularly as when I've got smaller amounts. Actually, that's the far end, so that's fine. I'll have to work out which is the least of half of these two and use that, and I'll still end up with some leftovers, but that's okay because I can weave with those. So that's the plan. The only problem is, of course, then you've got the whole rainbow of yarns, and what happens if I actually need less yarn than I think and I don't manage to make it into the red? Or what happens if I need more yarn? Actually, I covered that already. I'll probably talk to you about that because this isn't exactly a rainbow red, is it? It's more of a pink. So if I need more yarn, I can just dye a bright solid red. But if I need less yarn, I don't end up working to the end of the rainbow. That would be a bit annoying, wouldn't it? But I've got no way of knowing, so I've just got to get started. So that's the dyeing and the spinning. Tour de fleece, yeah, done all that. I think I'm just going to talk briefly about the giveaway before I go to weaving. The giveaway was a bit of a funny thing. I made this sock yarn hand dyed and I was giving that away 2 weeks ago. The winner was Pam Signs from Canton, Ohio. I was all ready to post it off to her, but she hasn't been in touch. It's been 2 weeks. So it took me a little while to work out what I was going to do, because I've, you know, it's on the podcast, I've said you're a winner, and I'm sure she will come forward, and she's maybe just away or something. But the point of the giveaway is about the podcast community. And if you're not watching the podcast, then obviously you're not part of the community. So it's a bit of an odd one. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to leave it another 2 weeks. So I'm recording again on Tuesday the 13th of August probably. So if she hasn't been in touch by then, I'm going to redraw it. I've got still got the original list of all the people who took part and commented, and I'm going to redraw it from there if I haven't heard from her. So Pam Signs from Canton, Ohio, if you're watching, get in touch in the next 2 weeks, and this will be coming to you. I have scanned that really badly, sorry. Here it is. All kinds of interesting splodges. It's called Shark Attack because it's all kind of very oceanish, and then suddenly there's a splash of red. Who is it? I think it was Adriana found me another yarn online that was called Shark Attack. Wasn't as good as mine, to be honest. No. This is my skein technique. Okay, when you get it, Pam or whoever, you'll have to reskein it because I'm rubbish. So there it is. Shark Attack, still not found a home. Okay, right, weaving. I finished my brother's weave. Remember, my brother started a weave when he was here, but he didn't really want to take it home with him. So I finished it and I crocheted a back, and Linda sewed them together. Bless her. So that's another Christmas present finished, ready to go. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. So that's all sewn on and whatever. She said you can just crochet those edges together if you want to pull them together, but actually I quite like that. So it's this yellow one is all cotton, and this is just sock yarn, so the cotton is definitely standing out more, so that'll be a coaster for the table. So that's my brother's first Christmas present. So that is done. On the Christmas present front, do you remember the Fable cowl? I'll put in a pic here. So it wasn't big enough to go over my shoulders, and that's the way you're meant to wear it. So the weekend I tried it on my sister-in-law with her eyes closed in front of the whole family, which was quite amusing, and it fits her. So that's going to be a Christmas present for her. So I've actually already got this one, the Fable Cow, 2 Christmas presents already finished, and others started, so that's good news. And the other thing is, when I was teaching weaving the other day, I just walked up the loom to demonstrate how to do it, obviously, and I started with this brown yarn. I wondered if I could just do a whole weave of just kind of brown yarn, then I lost my nerve. This is the very end of the Fibre Spates Fairy Wings that I bought for the first mystery crochet along I did. Didn't finish it, so I finished it in this. I've actually got a square in my blanket on it, if it already, but there was this, and then there was a little bit left over, a little bit. It wasn't enough to do another row, so it's in this. Isn't that wonderful though, that you buy a ball of yarn, and I made one project with it. It's the main feature of that project. That's the echo chamber. I'll put a pic in here, and then it becomes a chunk in this, and I've got a memory part of it in my memory blanket, so when I look at that I can remember it. And then the last little bit goes in here, and the last tiny little end will have gone to Amanda, and whatever, I don't know what she's going to do with it, but she's quite amazing. So to think one ball of yarn has contributed to so many different things, it's wonderful, it really is. So there we go, there's that little bit there, and then we went back to the brown, and I took it to knit group, and my friend Polly had a go, and she had a play with it on the purple one, and it's just a playing thing. I just wanted to see if I would do one that was all in 4-ply, because what I tend to do is, the time I get out to here, I start doing more chunky. I put lots of plies together, and I put some fibre in or whatever, but I thought, no, I was going to stick with one thread of 4-ply and see what I can do with it. So yeah, there it is. It's very symmetrical and ordered, isn't it? That will just go on the wall when it's done. Okay, so weaving giveaway, right, okay, we're more or less done. Just a little bit more personal stuff. So if you're just here for the crochet, knitting, etc., thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And maybe, if Pam doesn't get in touch, maybe Shark Attack will be on its way to you. So thank you for watching. Bye. So personal stuff. I was a bit down last time, and I am not anymore. I'm feeling much better. Obviously an impending holiday does impact that, but not as much as you might think. So yeah, the knitting on a plane, I talked about that. Oh yeah, I started wearing makeup again. Have you noticed? I used to wear it for the podcast, even when I wasn't wearing it normally. I just used to wear makeup 2, 3, 4 times a week. I stopped wearing it entirely. I just couldn't be bothered. And then I was just out with one of my daughters, and she was getting changed in the change room, and I was sat on a bench, and I just glanced to the side, and I just caught sight of myself, and I just I didn't feel that I looked as feminine as I wanted to. So I started wearing makeup again, and actually it's quite nice. My daughter's given me this lipstick, which is a Jeffree Star or something. It's really good. Put it on once, and then I don't have to, because I never want to be sort of always faffing trying to make sure it doesn't, get elsewhere on my face or on my coffee cup, or gone altogether. My one issue is that my eyeliner tends to migrate down my face, and my family forgets to tell me, Mum, you've got eyeliner all over your face. But this stuff sets, and it stays all day. Yeah. So yeah, lots of good stuff happening at the moment. It's a school holiday, so the big two have been off school for a long time anyway, because they finished their exams, and there was nothing after that. They were both, leaving that school. But the little one, like the autistic one, is also on holiday now, and that is great because we don't have the sort of daily will she, won't she go to school, that kind of thing. The stress that going to school puts on her is quite high, and a lot of days she just can't face it. And then there's having to ring into school, and then there's school contacting me to say her attendance is bad, and you know, it's an ongoing struggle. But all of that's just put aside for now because there's no school. We'll have to face it all again in September, but we won't worry about that now. And you might know that I was taking HRT as I thought I was going through the menopause. The hormone test wasn't positive, but they often aren't because the hormones fluctuate. And just been trying to sort out the exhaustion I've been experiencing for the last 2 years and the headaches that I've experienced for a long time. And I think I've resolved them both. So I've come off the HRT. The headaches, I think, are influenced by a lot of things, hormones, dehydration, whatever. But a big factor which I wasn't aware of was autistic stress overload. For those of you who don't know, I am 49 years old and I found out in April, 3 months ago, that I'm autistic. And it's been a bit of a surprise, but 2 years ago, almost to the day, I stopped drinking. So I was drinking alcohol pretty much every day, and that's something that a lot of autistic people do because it calms down the busy mind and makes the whole people thing a lot more manageable. But I stopped drinking, and that made things really difficult, and I didn't know why. So now I don't not drink at all, but I certainly don't drink every day, and I don't use it in the same way as I did for stress relief. So I have started having an hour on my own each day. Excuse me. So in the afternoon, usually, if I've been out, I'll come home and I'll shut the door in my bedroom, and I'll, even though there's the house full because Dave works from home most of the time, and all 3 girls are home. We live in a village; they can't really go anywhere much. I'll just shut the door and put a sign up saying Mum's hibernating, and I spend an hour on my own. Sometimes I'll sleep, but usually I'll just play on a game on my laptop, or sorry, that's a croaky throat, or knit or crochet. And so that's really helping, and being more aware, like with a family visit over the weekend, being more aware of when I've reached my limit of people and I need to go and sit upstairs on my own, which might well be considered rude, but that's something the diagnosis really helps with. People often have said to me, why would you bother getting a diagnosis at this age? That's why, because I can say to people, this is why I need to be on my own, I'm autistic. And the headaches seem to be getting better. We only had 1 in July, 1 day of headaches. I had 5 the previous couple of months, but it does fluctuate. I don't know. And the fasting, I'm doing intermittent fasting, which means I don't eat between roughly 6 or 7 at night through to late morning. Sometimes I don't eat from 6 through till midday, and then I just eat normally. I don't have any restrictions from there. And it's it's an interesting one. The research is really, really positive on it. And although it flies in the face of a lot of what we've been told for many, many years, that advice that we've been told is not evidence-based, and it's good. So that's really sorted out my energy from day one. My energy is back, and that is amazing because being exhausted for so long is horrible. But now feeling a lot better. So yeah, it's good. It's all good. So I am going on holiday on Sunday, really early flight. So we'll be there in time for lunch. It's only a 3-hour flight or something. Really, really excited. We've got breakfast included for pennies. So we can just have coffees or whatever. So, as you know, I don't eat breakfast, but although I might do on holiday. But then we'll probably we're self-catering, so we'll probably just go to the local supermarkets and buy local stuff and eat that for lunch, and then go out for an evening meal or whatever. We've got a beach very, very close, and we've also got a swimming pool in the hotel, which is good because we don't normally go away in the summer. We normally go away Easter or October half term, so temperatures in the 30s we are not used to at all. What's that in Fahrenheit? I'll put it up here. So we're not going to be used to that at all. It's going to be very, very hot for us, but we'll just sit around in the shade, swimming, dipping ourselves in the pool, and in my case, knitting crochet. So I will see you again after that holiday. And hope between now and then you have a great time. And I hope that Pam Signs gets in touch. Otherwise, I'll be redrawing for the giveaway. Do please get in touch if you've watched the video and you've enjoyed it. If, obviously, all the usual things, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe and click the bell, all that stuff. But also, do please get in touch. Just pop me a comment below to say what you've enjoyed or where you're from or something like that. Got a lot of those on the last couple of episodes, and I've really enjoyed meeting with the people who are new to the channel and just finding out where you're from and what you're up to and what you like. It's lovely. I really do enjoy it. And if there's any patterns or people or whatever that I've spoken about that you're interested in, down below here there's a link. You click on it and it will take you over to Ravelry. And then there's a post with all of the links, so you can click on the pattern and go straight to the pattern page. And all the people, YouTube and the shops and everything, it's all there. So just find out anything, and then if you want to comment on that, as I say, you can comment down below here, or you can comment on the thread in Ravelry and get some chat going. There is still a make along going, which is the buzz along. It's anything broadly bee related or spring related. The Hotel of Bees is what myself and a few other people were doing, but it's completely up to you. If you want to take part in that, the thread is on the group as well. It's not too late to take part in that. Okay, I'm done now. See you in a couple of weeks. Happy crafting. Bye.